Okay, if you have your organic shape drawn, then you want to find your edges where you have a line. One side of the line is dark, one side of the line is light. Think about where the light would be. If the light's shining on the face of the object, the front face, then the side, the edge, would be the highest contrast. In the creases underneath of objects that stick over other objects. Remember, you're doing a very complicated shape if you chose to do this one. That's great. Take your time. Think about where things would be light and dark. Where that edge is. This isn't quite drawn right, so straighten it out. Charcoal will let you fix some of your drawing mistakes. So you see all those sharp edges, crisp. Now I'm going to take my finger, or you can use a paper towel, pull some of that charcoal to lighten it as it fades in the distance away from that highest contrast area. Continue to pull those out on each and every face. Every time there's a section, it's a different face. It's going to have a light and a dark side. Can't get it quite dark enough with the vine charcoal, you can use a little compressed charcoal. Just remember, the compressed charcoal does not erase as easy as the skinny vine charcoal does. You can add a shadow on the table that will help make your form pop out. Again, just first applying the color, and then once the color's laid out, you can go back and blend and smooth that coloring out. Blending like we practiced in our value scale. Be a little shadow under each of those areas. If the object is light, make the shadow on the table darker. If the object is a little dark, you might need to make the shadow a little lighter. You can use either eraser. The pink eraser's for big areas. Just be careful when you're getting rid of the crumbs not to smear your charcoal. The kneaded eraser is for lifting. Can get it pretty skinny and then lift where you have smudge marks, or if you have too much charcoal down, you can lift, and you just put the charcoal into the kneaded eraser, and it kind of is self-cleaning. Just don't rip the eraser apart. This is the time to use your kneaded eraser. Want a wet paper towel to keep your hands clean? You may want a dry paper towel or a piece of newspaper to help keep your fingerprints off your edges. I'm going to finish adding some shadow to the table. We're making the table a little bit of a medium value so that the form stands out from the table. It just depends on how dark your form is, how light or dark you make the background to make your form stand out and look three-dimensional. Remember, forms should look three-dimensional. As you work on this, continue to pause the video, work for a while, pause the video, work for a while. Your form doesn't have to look exactly like this form. In fact, I'd rather it didn't. I'd like you to make your own form. Wasn't quite popping out in that area, so I'm adding a little bit of darker value with the compressed charcoal. Use the corner to get a very sharp edge. Careful not to make it look outliney. Pull that edge out so it doesn't look like it's been outlined in black. Again, sharpening edges, darkening edges, making your form look three-dimensional. Then in the background, go ahead and again, don't leave a white halo around it. Bring that charcoal up to your form, blending it out. If your form is dark, make your wall light. If your form is light, make your wall a little darker. You want the table to separate from the wall space. As I'm finishing up, you see I have a little piece of newspaper to help hold it so I don't get finger smudges and take some of the charcoal off. I'm sharpening edges, looking for places that need to make the form stand out. Take your time, get away from your work, hang it up once in a while, have a critique, see what else needs to happen to make your form look three-dimensional. I feel this is just a little too white, so I'm going to just put a tiniest little bit of charcoal on the face of that to kind of smudge it out a little bit on the surface of it. This looks a little bit too much like it's outlined, so I'm going to blend that color out a little bit more underneath to create that shadow. And just looking at the whole thing, where else is it not standing out? There's a line right here. I need to decide if I'm making part of the form shadowed or the table shadowed, and I think the form needs to be just a little bit darker in that space. And then the wall darker than that, a different value. Wow, doesn't that make that pop out? Good luck with your freeform. Thanks for taking a challenge.